This is CBC Here and Now.
Welcome to the only mosque in Newfoundland and Labrador. Tonight, in the wake of what happened in Manchester, we're going to have an in-depth discussion with the Muslim community in our province.
There's a fucking smoke coming out of it. Turn the engine off, boy.
Close call. Some young students scramble to safety after this happens on the way to school.
They were born ferocious.
Green crabs create a nasty problem for lobster fishermen.
And in the weather department, building clouds on Friday. We're going to bring in some rain and even some snow for the start of the weekend, but we're brightening up into Sunday. The details are coming up.
We begin tonight with a frightening morning commute for some Gonzaga High School students in St. John's. The bus they were traveling in started billowing smoke. Yeah, that is the sound of the bus's engine, and behind all that smoke, the bus itself. The driver was forced to stop during rush hour traffic on Allendale Road near the Prince Philip Drive intersection because heavy smoke started coming from the engine compartment and the rear of the vehicle. A student on the bus told Here and Now they were turning off the Outer Ring Road when the engine started to rev up and smoke appeared. He said the sound and vibration were so extreme he thought the bus would blow up. There were nearly 40 students on board at the time, and all were evacuated into the median. There were no injuries. Fire Captain Craig Cox says firefighters happened to be in the area and spotted the bus. He says at first it looked like the bus was on fire.
Oh, there was no flames, just a lot of smoke, which appeared to be that it may have been on fire, but it was only mechanical trouble. We witnessed it returning back from another call. All the kids had evacuated very safely. They huddled up here on the grass, very orderly manner. No injuries. Everybody is back on the bus now, just waiting for alternate transportation to be transported to school.
And students made it to school safely after another bus picked them up. Service NL says the cause of the smoke was an oil leak which spilled onto the hot exhaust manifold. The bus is owned by Gladney's Bus Limited. It was towed to their garage where Service NL will inspect it further. Well, people who create their own electricity will soon be able to receive a credit on their power bill. The Public Utilities Board has approved what's called net metering starting this summer. It allows people to use solar or wind power to generate electricity in their home or business and have some of those savings applied to their power bill. The province's consumer advocate says communities, fire halls, fish plants, and recreational facilities should be most interested in net metering. Dennis Brown is now asking the board to make information available on how people can take part in the program. And this next story is something that could be lifted out of a science fiction plot, an invasion of green crab. But their spread is all too real for both scientists and fishermen who are trying to stop them. Here and Now's Chris O'Neill Yates reports.
On the ocean floor, European green crab and lobster fight it out. Green crab are waging a war against everything that crosses their path.
They were born ferocious. They're just really aggressive and really active and have no fear whatsoever.
These creatures mysteriously appeared on the shores of Placentia Bay 10 years ago. Now they're showing up in Fortune Bay, home to a valuable lobster fishery. Scientists are concerned that they're eating young lobster.
We certainly don't want to see the same sort of thing happening in Fortune Bay that we've seen going on in Placentia Bay.
Now scientists have discovered that this hardy green crab from Newfoundland is actually the offspring of two populations, one from the U.S. and one from Europe, that have interbred.
It's not like they came into Placentia Bay from Europe. It looks like they came in from around the area of Halifax, probably through domestic shipping.
Mackenzie has spent the past 10 years trying to understand how and why this green crab has spread.
The challenge for scientists and fishermen is to now figure out how far these green crab have spread and to try to stop it. For the time being, though, it appears this is a battle that the green crab are winning.
In 60 years as a fisherman, Clarence Marsh hasn't seen anything quite like the green crab.
Oh my son, they're numerous,
Marsh fishes some cod, but lobster is still his main fishery, and catches are low.
I really do think the green crab is eating the lobster spawn Yeah, when they spawn, the spawn goes to the bottom. The green crab, they're eating it. So that may affect on the lobsters, you know.
That's definitely useful.
Just how green crab affect lobster is a question researcher Nikki Zargapour has been trying to figure out.
Our approach was to attach underwater cameras to lobster traps so that we could watch these interactions.
To try to catch the green crab in the act and confirm that they're thieves.
I think there's the concern there that, hey, they're getting in and potentially depleting the bait inside a trap. Or, again, it's somehow impeding lobster entry.
Whether they steal the bait or scare the lobster from the trap or eat the spawn, green crab are troublesome to Clarence March. Another hit to a fishery that's already struggling. Chris O'Neill Yates, CBC News, North Harbour.
Courage, heart.
Grade 5 students from Roncalli Elementary in St. John's were part of the unveiling of a new postage stamp today. It's the 6th of 10 stamps Canada Post is releasing to recognize Canada's 150th birthday. This one features Terry Fox. He began his Marathon of Hope to raise money for cancer research in St. John's. His sister traveled to Newfoundland for what was an emotional unveiling.
Can't help smiling today as I look at a group of Canadians who played a very big role in the remarkable success of the annual Terry Fox Run. It is my pleasure to be able to acknowledge the students who have joined us here today from Roncalli Elementary and the inspiring vision boards that they have created with the theme, "If Terry could, I can." Like the children I talked about earlier, these students were willing to share their personal feelings, goals, and dreams with us. I cannot think of something that would make my brother prouder than to know that he continues to inspire children and people of all ages to dream big.
Well, first Istanbul, now Florida. Mary Brown's is now offering its famous chicken and taters in Englewood, Florida. Two former politicians, Paul Shelley and Kathy Gowdy, opened the diner about a month ago. Englewood is located between Tampa and Fort Myers, and some traditional Newfoundland meals are on the menu, such as Towtons, pea soup, and seafood chowder. Well, in a few moments, we'll be starting a special segment of our program called Islam on the Island. Anthony Germain is hosting the special from the Mosque in St. John's, but right now we want to bring you a story about one of the biggest issues in the local Muslim community. The issue is the mosque itself and the obstacles to building a new one. Here and Now's Zach Gowdy has the story.
The Adhan, the Muslim call to worship, rings throughout the mosque in St. John's. So many have already answered it that there is scarcely room for more.
We get about 600 people, so the mosque is completely packed. Main floor, top floor, and bottom floors.
The month of Ramadan.
It's Friday, midday, the most important prayer of the week. In the main hall of the mosque, worshippers sit shoulder to shoulder, but there still isn't enough space. Dozens more squeeze into the library, more still in the hallways, and even in the basement.
For example, today you see yourself like the main hall would be full, people utilizing downstairs and upstairs as well, so it's got very full. And we're approaching the month of Ramadan, so it'll be like more people coming in for practicing the prayers.
The overcrowding also creates problems outside the mosque.
Parking is a big issue, especially on Fridays. Lots of people, either they come carpooling or they have to, walk, like a big distance, especially in the weather when it's winter and snow. It's quite hard a little bit, yeah.
The Muslim community in St. John's started small, but little by little, more came. Doctors, engineers, oil industry workers, and university students.
When mosque was built, there were hardly 15 Muslim families, and now we have over 2,000 Muslims in the province. So you can appreciate that the mosque, which was built for 100 people, and now the population is 2,000. So it's a challenge.
The Muslim Association of Newfoundland and Labrador wants to build a new mosque and community center on a piece of land it already owns, about a kilometer away. But that's where religion is clashing with politics.
Right here is our land. So from this pole, that's our land for the mosque.
The land is on Sugarloaf Road. It's surrounded by commercial lots. But for now, there's no water and sewer, and the road needs to be upgraded for emergency vehicles. The city says the Muslim Association would have to pay for both before it could build here.
I wouldn't be able to guess, but it's a significant dollar value, and the city's requirement is that that's done by the developers of the property. And that's very difficult to go outside of that, because once you make one exception, you certainly set a precedent for others.
But with developers sizing up the surrounding lots for businesses and subdivisions, the Muslim Association says it shouldn't get stuck with the bill for the infrastructure.
We hope and pray that, the city will understand that we don't have that much money and we don't have, the paying potential. If city can do it on their own, we would be very happy and we would really, really appreciate it. But if city says no, then we have no other choice but to wait it out.
The association could sell the land and look to build somewhere else, but that would mean fracturing the city's Muslim community and diluting its influence.
Our community is settling down and has settled down in the East End because of the mosque. But also, if you think about it, our voting bank has increased in this area. So that will have an impact, because we want our representatives to solve our problems.
For now, they keep squeezing in to their crowded mosque. It's a problem, but one that many faith communities would love to have.
Well, you've just heard about the building, but what about the people who go there? Up next, what it's like to be Muslim in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Update is brought to you by the Take Charge Business Efficiency Program. Over 400 businesses have saved energy and taken charge of their bottom line. Find out how you can too.
Ryan, me and you in here tonight,
Yeah.
and I don't know about you, but I'm already thinking ahead to the weekend and to Friday. How are things looking?
Yeah, you want to get some planting done, I'm sure,
Yes.
as do many. I want to get out in the garden, get some yard work done. The weekend, Sunday's your day. Let's talk about Friday and the weekend. The area of high pressure that's been moving in over the last 24 hours or so, clearing most of us out. That northeast coast clouds still lingered a little bit for this afternoon, but certainly brightening up. The northerly winds keeping things quiet. But this area of high pressure is going to be, yes, keeping us quiet for yet another 24 hours before our next system rolls in from the south. And there it is there, approaching, already bringing some rain up to the Maritimes. But this area of high pressure will hold on pretty strong over the next 24. And note, as we watch your future tracker here, some scattered shower chances for the southeast into the northern peninsula tonight. Into tomorrow morning, a slight risk, and also into tomorrow afternoon as well. There are your morning temperatures to start the day. Note that high cloud already building across the Burin and the southern parts of the island by the time we get to the early morning hours of Friday. That cloud will thicken up through the day tomorrow. Winds are going to be generally east-southeast, and so this is good news temperature-wise, central and west. Not so much for the Avalon with that onshore wind. Now, watch your timeline here, 7 p.m. That rain, again, has now hit the south coast, including the Burin, southern Avalon, with St. John's and the metro region into the mix for mid to late Friday evening. If you have some Friday evening plans, you want to grab the umbrella. Scattered shower chances across interior parts of Labrador tomorrow, and we'll show you that in just a second. There are your temperatures for tomorrow, anywhere from 4 right in those onshore southeast winds in places like Ferryland and the southern shore, as warm as 8 just inland. And yeah, we're climbing 15 to 18 degrees for central and western parts of the island. I think Port aux Basques is near 6 tomorrow, but the Codroy up into Stephenville, Port-au-Port, 15 to 16 there tomorrow. Again, west-northwesterly winds, so keeping temps a little bit cool there along the coast of Labrador. We are looking at 17 for Lab West. Yet much cooler in Happy Valley Goose Bay on the other side of this front. And here is how things will play out into Friday night and Saturday. Note those showers and drizzle, fog patches, primarily for the Avalon, the Burin, and the southeast parts of the island. I think we'll see some scattered shower chances up into central, but some brightening into the afternoon. A quiet day for the west coast on Saturday, and Labrador looking at some shower and flurry chances into the mix as that separate frontal boundary starts to push into the region. So 5 to 7 degrees and an unsettled day and a cloudy day across most of the big land. Mainly cloudy in the west. There are those showers that'll clear for central, but a northerly wind keeping temperatures near 8 and looking at, yes, just 3 or 4 degrees with some RDF in St. John's and across the Avalon with that persistent north-northeast wind. The good news, that departs, and this area of high pressure moves in for Sunday. That will bring more in the way of sunshine. This frontal boundary will move southward. I think we're looking at some shower chances for the northern peninsula on Sunday. Happy Valley Goose Bay, it looks like that precip will be south of you, so I think you'll see some sunshine. Cartwright and down towards the northern peninsula, including the Straits, though I do think will be unsettled on Sunday. We'll see some clearing in Lab West. And again, sun and cloud for central and eastern parts of the island. 14 inland, just 7 here along the northeast coast, including the metro region. We'll struggle temperature-wise for Monday. Again, starting to round the bend Tuesday with a bit of a southeast wind, a more southerly wind Wednesday, but of course we're adding in some shower chances, and then there are those showers for Thursday with clouds and showers dominating. And as we look at the 7-day trend into Labrador, again looking at that messy mix for Saturday, clearing Sunday, beautiful temperatures building in Monday and into next week.
Well, time now to meet our young athlete of the day. And this is 4-year-old Bethany Perry. Bethany comes from Trinity Bonavista and participates in the Can Skate program. Her team is the Frosty Figures.
Way to go, Bethany. You're today's young athlete of the day. Well, it's time now to switch our focus for tonight's special, what it's like to be a Muslim living in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yes, and joining us now is the CBC's Anthony Germain, who will be hosting the remainder of Here and Now from the Mosque on Logie Bay Road in St. John's. Over to you, Anthony.
Well, welcome here to the Masjid El Noor Mosque, the only mosque in Newfoundland and Labrador, and we're in for quite an evening on this special Islam on the Island on Here and Now, particularly in the wake of what happened in Manchester this week. We're going to talk about various themes tonight, terrorism being one of them. We're also going to talk about stereotypes, as well as the place of women in Islam, and we'll also talk about how these people, Muslims who've come here, have adapted to life here. We'll talk about their success stories and some of the challenges they faced. First, though, a primer on Islam, Islam 101. Islam is the world's second largest religion with more than 1.5 billion followers. It's the world's fastest growing religion. In Newfoundland and Labrador, there are at least 2,000 Muslims. In Canada, just over 1 million. The 5 pillars of Islam are faith and belief in the one God, Allah, praying 5 times a day facing Mecca in Saudi Arabia, charity, Muslims must give away a percentage of their earnings for the needy, fasting for the month of Ramadan. The fast is linked to charity. It makes Muslims sympathize with people who have little or no food, and it is a gesture of self-purification. It starts tomorrow. Finally, there is the pilgrimage to Mecca, Muhammad's birthplace. It's known as the Hajj. All Muslims must take this trip once in their lifetimes if they are able. Islam's origins go back to Mecca at the start of the 7th century. The Quran is Islam's holy book. Muslims believe the Quran came through as a series of revelations from Allah through the Archangel Gabriel to the Prophet Muhammad. The Quran stresses tolerance between Muslims and non-Muslims, Christians and Jews. The Quran makes no reference to jihad as holy war. Jesus is an important figure in the Quran. Muslims do not believe he was the son of God, but rather an important prophet second only to Muhammad. There are several branches of Islam. The largest comprises the Sunnis at almost 90% and the Shias about 10%. The vast majority of Muslims do not speak Arabic, and most Muslims are not Arab. Alcohol and pork are forbidden. Arabic numerals, the numbers we all use today, were developed by Muslims. The Islamic calendar is 11 days shorter than the Western calendar because it's based on lunar phases and not the Earth's orbit around the sun. And the official color of Islam is green, said to be Muhammad's favorite. As you heard in that primer about Islam, the Quran was mentioned heavily. One part of the Quran that wasn't mentioned, and this is a controversial part, it's a verse that many of the people who conducted attacks, such as what we've seen in Manchester, in London before, and other parts of the world, it's a verse that they have used to justify their homicidal actions. It's a controversial issue, and I want to actually talk about that right now. And I'll just ask you for your name.
I'm Muhammad Nazir. As you know, this program was planned a number of weeks ago. In the meantime, unfortunately, the terrorist attack happened in Manchester, UK. We are very saddened by this huge loss of life and suffering. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of Muslim Association of Newfoundland and Labrador to offer our deepest sympathy and condolences to the victims of this terror attack and their families. We strongly condemn the perpetrators of this heinous crime against humanity. With regard to that specific verse you have quoted, I would like to defer to Hussein Khan.
Okay, all right, I'll come over here, and I think people who've been watching Here and Now know who you are, because I'll come on this side. You were on last night and you're on right now. On the serious topic of the verse in question, and what I'm talking about is a verse which says there's a duty among Muslims to kill idolaters and non-believers, that they can be ambushed. And in some parts, it seems they could be decapitated and have their fingers cut off. It seems violent, and as you know, the radicals have used this as a justification for what they do. Can you explain this verse to me?
Good evening, I'm Hussein Khan. That is totally wrong. The verse was revealed to address a particular situation. The situation was that Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions were under attack by their enemies. Prophet, peace be upon him, signed number of peace treaties to avoid bloodshed.
So this was actually for a specific war that was happening in the 7th century.
It was a specific situation, and the verse has no context, no relevance outside that situation. It was revealed to address particular situation, and whoever is using that verse outside that situation, which we don't have right now, is contradicting the teachings of Islam. Because the Quran is full of forgiveness, patience, and kindness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran, وَلَمَنْ صَبَرَ وَغَفَرَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ لَمِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ.
Which means?
It is a great courage, it is a great deed for you if you exercise patience and forgive your enemies.
And there's actually tolerance
This
as well.
This is the teaching of Quran. Quran encourages, Quran preaches, Quran promotes tolerance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran, Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min zakarin wa unsa wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qawaila lita'arafu inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. That I have divided you into nations and tribes so that you collaborate with each other, you cooperate with each other, not you fight with each other. That is the message of Quran. Irrespective of your faith, irrespective of your belief, we are commanded to collaborate and cooperate with each and every human being.
All right, this is the beginning of our discussion, a special discussion here in the only mosque in the province. Coming up after the break, we're going to continue discussing terrorism and the fears it creates among Muslims and among the rest of us in society at large. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Masjid El Noor Mosque. I'm Anthony Germain here with our special coverage, Islam on the Island. Before the break, we had a brief discussion about terrorism. Now we're going to extend that discussion. With what happened in Manchester and other attacks, whenever these happen, the Muslim communities around the world have to reflect on what happened. And of course, they have to have their own concerns about how the societies in which they live, where they're minorities, how are they going to react? So that'll start off our discussion here. So I'll begin with you, sir.
Hello, my name is Jalil Hussein. First, about terrorism. Terrorism can happen everywhere. Yes, there are some kind of attacks in UK, and we are sorry for that, and in other parts of the world. But mainly the terrorists actually are targeting the Muslim countries. I was on a trip to Iraq a couple of weeks ago, and the amount of terrorist attacks by ISIS and other groups are countless. There are attacks every now and then, every day, everywhere. If they target, for example, military base once, they target civilians 10 times.
And then you think also of what happened in Quebec City.
Exactly. That's one small example of what is happening in other countries and other. We are sorry, and we have to show our solidarity with the community to prevent that from happening again and again and again.
All right, I'm going to switch and actually come over here because I know that this woman happens to be your wife. What are your thoughts when these attacks happen? Because it seems that these attacks, they happen, we never know when they're going to happen. They happen in various countries, they happen quickly, and we see the damage, we see the destruction. What do you make of this when it happens?
Well, first I feel bad for two reasons. First, my name is Yasmin Hamadi. I'm a family physician here. I feel bad for two reasons. First, because like in our religion, if you kill one person, it's a sin of like killing all the people on earth. That's the sin you will get. The second part is that the person who does it is claiming he's a Muslim, which is far away from our religion and advises by the Creator. The second thing I feel, really, if I put myself in their shoes, I'm horrified, terrified. I do have a family. My sister's in Manchester, so I feel like I'm very worried about her kids. I'm worried about my kids if I go to a public place.
Right. Did you call her after the attack?
Immediately I had to call her, and I was so worried that she might be there.
What did she say?
Well, she was terrified as well, and she said she might not start going public places for a while. So that's like a kind of restriction for her kids. And, Ramadan month is coming, so she's going to restrict her outdoors a lot, yeah.
Thank you. Now, I know this gentleman also wants to weigh in on this. With respect to the attacks, when these things happen, do you have fears or concerns about how the society you live in, whether here in Newfoundland, you have fear that when you go to a public place, you're getting dirty looks, or if you go to the airport, people are afraid?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Mohammed Shahata. I understand there has been a shift in how the society look at Muslims, especially since 9/11 attacks, and we are being looked at sometimes under suspicion. And as every time there is a new terrorist attack that happens, people will get upset. And I can understand their background of it. But I think there is a lot of misconception about Islam that people do not understand. Islam is based on peace. That's what Islam is coming from. That's the Arabic word that it's coming from, peace. It's a religion of peace. No one is allowed to kill anyone. No one is allowed to aggress on anyone, regardless of the faith. We are all brothers in humanity.
But if you come across somebody who's here in Newfoundland, a Catholic or a Protestant, and they say, they look and they hear and they read about Islamic State, and they get confused because they don't see the distinction. How do you explain this to people?
Well, basically, ISIS is using verses out of context to justify what they are trying to do to the community and what they want to do. And terrorism, in general, it's outside faith. It's not attached to a certain faith. It is always a struggle for power, for money, for territory, and that has been always the case for us. Simple example: when I first moved here in 2013 from Calgary, one of our neighbors was not too comfortable, probably, having a Muslim neighbor. Right. And my approach was simple: always take the extra mile to explain with your behavior, with your manner, with how we deal with people, what Islam is. Right. My wife wears a scar, so she's wearing the hijab. So we always watch and take the extra steps. We knocked on their door. We offer them sweets. We congratulate them.
You try to reach out.
Reach out. During snow, I shovel his snow. And then over a few months, we build a relationship. And now he understands that This is not Islam.
Well, if you shovel snow, I'll be taking your address before we're done here at the end of the night. All right. Anybody else want to weigh in about their thoughts when terrorist attacks happen? Because I know certainly there are a lot of Muslims who sometimes feel afraid, and they also try to, as this gentleman said, go the extra step to try to explain to people the reality between how things sometimes are portrayed in the media. I think I have somebody here. All right.
Good evening, Anthony. My name is Aisha. First of all, I would like to express how deeply sorry about what happened recently. And each time something like that happens, we feel the pain double and three times more than the larger community for obvious reasons. We said that people start viewing us with suspicion. And I would like to point out that suspicion is a very unhealthy feeling. And we have to be very careful when deciding who really deserves our suspicion.
But have you felt that?
Sometimes, yes, but I would like to remind that practicing Muslims, they don't deserve other people's suspicion. They are the ones who, make their environment safe and peaceful for others. And also there is a misconception about practicing Muslim. Who are they? Practicing Islam is beyond certain rituals, beyond observing certain dress codes, okay? It is best manifested in the manners and the character of the individual. So if you see that a person, a Muslim, treats you with kindness, generosity, then it means that he is really practicing that religion, and that individual doesn't deserve your suspicion.
All right, I appreciate that. We're going to wind down their first theme tonight on terrorism. Is there somebody else who would like to help close out this section? Because I can come to anybody who would like to speak about this. I know we were talking about earlier. You are the volunteer imam here at this mosque.
Yeah, my name is Abdel Salam Abgarara. I'd like to say that behind every cause or action, there is a reason. And the reason behind killing others is hatred and disrespect of others. And there is no place in Islam for these ones. And once we understand that Muslims have respecting the others and loving others and caring about others, we know that there is no reason in our hearts to kill others. And this is what the message of Islam is all about. Caring about others, collaborating about others, and dealing very nicely and kindly with others. And I've been a president of Muslim Students Association at the Memorial University for 2 years. One is about 10 years back, and one is about 2 years back. I noticed that the university being very welcoming, very nice to us, provided places for worship, and this is a sign of good collaboration with one another, and the contribution of others to the contribution of ourselves to the education, to the research, is a part of collaborating and caring about others.
And certainly a number of people in this room are very active at MUN, both as students and professors and engineers. We're going to talk about how Muslims in Newfoundland have made lives for themselves here and how they actually fit in and how they integrated, some of the challenges. That's coming up towards the end of our special. Up next, fairly controversial area. A lot of people sometimes get fairly heated over this discussion, and the issue is the place of women in Islam. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Newfoundland Labrador's only mosque. I'm Anthony Germain, and this is a continuation of our special Islam on the Island. The next topic is a question that people have raised who are non-Muslim, questions about the place of women in this religion. And we're going to start that topic off by asking a question which many people ask: why do some Muslim women dress the way they do? And to answer that, I'm going to put the question to you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Junana. I recently started to wear the headscarf called hijab, and I did that here in Newfoundland because I felt welcome and comfortable. And the reason why I wear my headscarf is because it's my own personal journey. It is my way to connect with my God, and it's an act of worship. It's my personal decision, and I'm the only female in my family who wears a headscarf.
Yeah, and I should point out that your mother is actually sitting here as a spectator, and she does not wear...
No, she doesn't wear the headscarf. I'm the only one.
So the personal choice, if it's not too personal, what made you decide that this was important for your religious journey, as you put it?
Yes, I just wanted to take another step in my own faith, and I wanted to connect with God, and this is my way of connecting and my journey, my spiritual journey, and also has become my own personal identity. This is who I am, and yes.
All right. Now, some of the critics from non-believers, when it comes to the issue of where women are placed in Islam, and I'll put this bluntly, is that some people, critics of Islam, suggest that women are second-class citizens. There are Christian religions. In Catholicism, in this very province, there are women who know they are in a religion where they cannot rise above men. That's the fact in the Catholic Church. So I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible. But in this very mosque, you have to pray up there behind double-sided mirrors, and the men get to stay down here. Isn't that a symbol of inequality in your religion?
Hi, I'm grateful that you brought this because we host different groups from schools, and this is one of the questions that most of the younger kids, their parents and teachers ask us when we host them here. And our simple answer is this is just a logistical arrangement. When our community was much smaller years ago, men and women were sharing the same prayer hall. We could afford doing that.
But you were in the back.
But because it's the nature of the prayer, most people, they don't realize that Muslim prayer has its own nature. It involves different postures like standing, bowing, and prostrating. And in an ideal setting, we expect, men to pray on the front line, children in the middle, and the woman in the back, because it's for the convenience and comfort of the women themselves. Right now, because of the growth of our community, we can no longer accommodate everybody here. So we renovated the second floor, and we offered it to the exclusive use of our women and children, and they love it. And when I take the visiting students upstairs, each time they go like, wow, this is like a private VIP lounge.
But is that the purpose of the mirrors?
It gives them more privacy, more comfort, because most of the time, women with infants, or with other young children, they like to have their own place.
So these mirrors up here, this is more for the privacy of women than the fact that men don't want to see that women are actually here?
For the privacy of the woman, and when you go there, you see that they are part of it. They can see it, they can hear it, they are part of it. It's just a spatial arrangement. It's not a discriminatory practice.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to come back to the Quran and Scripture again, and I could go to the Old Testament and the New Testament to point out various verses that indicate a superiority among men. But what do you make when people ask you any questions about whether men and women are equal? I haven't spoken to you yet.
Hi, my name is Hala. I do feel, what was your question again?
When people ask you, why does it seem as though women aren't equal to men in your religion, what do you tell them?
Well, I do believe that men and women are actually equal in Islam. There are differences, maybe, to the Western standard. They might not like the way we pray or anything. I pray upstairs every Friday, and that's never really an issue for us. And actually, in Islam, actually gives women a lot of rights that in the 7th century that wasn't introduced to the West until that Western women were not lucky enough to have until the 7th century, 19th century, and that's like owning property, rights to inheritance, and all that stuff. Right. So I think the problem is not with Islam, but there is, we can't overlook that in some Muslim countries there are some women are oppressed.
Of the burqa and women in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
there are certain areas and political regimes where
Yeah.
I think you have a hard time arguing that women are not treated very well.
Yeah, and that's a lot more cultural than it is Islamic, really. So a good understanding and political too, yeah.
All right, I'd like to hear from at least one man on this. All right, I'll come back to the Imam.
Yes, a man came to the Prophet of Islam and asked him, who is the best person deserving my careness? He replied, is your mother, and then said, who's next? And he said, your mother. And he said, who next? And he said, your mother, and then your father. So, and
a reverence for
the
mothers.
women.
All right.
Yes, and this is concluding what respect we care about women and our mothers.
I'm Anthony Germain. We're going to come back after the break and wind up our special coverage here, discussing issues with the Muslim community of Newfoundland and Labrador. Our next section is interesting. We're going to talk about the challenges that Muslims have faced coming here and the successes. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our special Islam on the Island. We're going to get into our final theme of the night, and it really has to do with how Muslims have integrated into Newfoundland society, how they've succeeded, what challenge they've met. And of course, as you know, if you were watching earlier, you saw Zach Gowdy's piece about the fact that the Muslim community is jam-packed in this mosque, and they need another mosque, and it's a sign of how many Muslims are coming here. And as you know from the sad stories that we've covered on CBC, that involves taking in refugees from Syria. This young person is one of those refugees, and I thought we'd start this section off by just asking her a few simple questions. Hello.
Hi, my name is Shaima.
Now, when you left Syria, how did you get here?
I moved from Syria to Lebanon, and I came to Canada.
Right. And now you're in Newfoundland. What school do you go to?
McDonald Drive.
Right. How do you like school here?
It's good.
Okay. And what do you miss the most about Syria? Who do you miss, and what things do you miss most about your life in Syria?
My friend, my home, and my grandmother and my grandfather.
All right, I appreciate that. And I wanted to start here because one of the themes, of course, has to do with the growing Muslim population. And I want to ask people, what does this Muslim community do to make sure that new Muslims, whether they're from Syria as refugees or other Muslims, what does this community do to make sure that those Muslims feel welcome and that they can be successful when they move to Newfoundland and Labrador? Anyhow? Sure.
I can start with saying, like, in my practice, when I do walk-in clinics, the Syrians are the most welcomed, patients. I try to fit them in.
Now you're a family physician.
Yeah, because to avoid the language barrier, and they feel more comfortable, and just to make them feeling more welcoming, and they didn't miss a lot as a start.
All right. Let's stay with people in the medical profession, because I know this gentleman is also a doctor, an oncologist. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Jehan Siddiqui. I'm one of the medical oncologists here. I've been here for about 1/3 of my life now. So,
what was it like when you first came here, and how have things changed?
I came here about 17 years ago, and I had a very wonderful first experience. When we came here, there used to be no GPSs, nothing like that. And we were not very fond of, I guess, street signs as well. So I asked a gentleman for some location, and not only he told me, he asked me to follow him and took me all the way there. And where I came from, usually normal people don't do that.
And where is you from?
I moved here from US, actually.
Okay.
So that was a wonderful experience, and that just gives some idea how open this group of society is. And I think I've been here for 17 years, and every day that passes, that is better than the day before. With the interaction with all the group of people that I work with, most of those are people from here that I befriended here.
And when it comes to the actual integration of Muslims inside our province, obviously it's not just up to mosques, it's not just up to Muslims, but also their churches and other community groups that try to help. Can somebody actually address that? Or I'll come back here where actually we started, because I know that the assistance to Muslims is not provided solely by Muslims.
You see, when the refugees started coming here, I noticed a lot of host families who were not Muslims. They were other faiths like Christians, other churches. They were bringing the Muslim families for prayers here. They were giving them rides. They were taking them for shopping. They looked after them. And they were taking great pride in helping them.
So they dropped them off on the way to church?
Some of them stayed here and prayed, sat down with us in those chairs while the refugees were praying. So the entire society came together to help the refugees. With regard to our own association, we arranged rides, we arranged various other activities for the small children. So it's a challenge to provide all those services, but also an opportunity, because that brings all kinds of age groups, and we have a certain threshold of population, which allows us to offer those services which we could not before.
And also, if you were watching at the top of our special coverage tonight, one of the things that is part of Islamic culture is the fact that Muslims are supposed to devote a percentage of their income to charity, as one of the 5 pillars that was mentioned. You are from where?
I'm from Nigeria. Good evening. My name is Yusuf Babatunde from Nigeria.
And how long have you been here?
I've been here for 9 years now.
And what was it like getting here?
So when I first got here 9 years ago, I came in as a student. I lived in Norway for a year, and then it's been a wonderful experience since then. A lot has changed as well. And as a personal story, I would say, this is our new home, because I've really gained a lot from the residents of Newfoundland and Labrador. Personally, Can
you give me an example?
Yes, so I have a friend, he's a retired teacher now, his name is John Green, and when I finished my program at the university and I was looking for a job, and I don't have a place to stay, it took me in for 8 months without getting a penny from me. In fact, we have my first daughter in his house, and
you had your first daughter in his house?
Yep.
Delivered in his house?
Delivered in his house, yes. I remember, my first job. He gave me his car key, gave me his suit to wear, his tie. He said, "Buddy, take the key. Good luck." And I got a job. And,
He said, "Buddy,
yeah,
good luck."
Yeah,
and then your wife had a baby.
Yes, we had a baby in his house, and it's a lovely experience for me. It's like a father to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know him before. He met me an evening, and he was so good to me, and we chatted for a while, and then it's been a father figure for me. So personally, I would say generally people from here are very nice, very good. So it's my own personal experience, and it's a very, very important part in my life. If I hadn't gotten that little help at that time, I might not be where I am now.
So good to talk to you. I appreciate it. What a great story.
Thank
you very much. Now, I do want to sort of close on one fact, and that is in this room tonight among our panels, and I apologize if I didn't get a chance to get to you, but we have dentists, we have engineers, as you know, we've got doctors, a whole bunch of professionals who've done very well. So perhaps one of you could say, was there anything that actually helped you become successful here? Something that stood out? All right.
I just want to add one.
You're a professional translator, right?
Yes, that's what I want to comment. And the most difficult obstacle for refugees to come here is the communication. How to communicate with the community, with the people. How to and exactly the language. So I myself, as a certified interpreter and translator, I have dealt with so many newcomers, not only refugees, help them to settle. So for a newcomer to be able to talk to the community, he needs an interpreter. Mm-hmm. And to help them, for example, to go to a doctor appointment, to apply for a job, to get training and all these things, he needs another person to help him talk in the new language and to understand what is happening on. So this is the main obstacle. As part of my job, as I said, as a professional interpreter and translator, this was actually the main concern for me. How can I help the people who are coming after me to settle just like I have settled here and I'm doing my own business?
Obviously, language is very important. It's been quite a discussion tonight. I hope you've appreciated it. Coming back, we're going to actually have some final thoughts on this evening here in the only mosque in our province. Well, we've had a wide-ranging discussion tonight in our special Islam on the Island. I hope you learned something. I know I certainly have. And I want to thank everybody in this room who gave their valuable time and was willing to actually discuss some difficult topics tonight. We talked about a number of things. And I thought to round things out and to say goodnight to you, I would ask one of the leaders in the Muslim community here for his thoughts. And I'll ask you one question. What do you hope people who watch tonight on Here and Now, what do you hope they took away from this?
I think that they should take away that Islam is about love, Islam is about peace, Islam is about mercy, Islam is about tolerance. And whenever they come in the contact with any Muslim, they should be very comfortable. They should be at ease because Muslims are supposed to be peace-loving people. And this is what Newfoundland and Labrador is. Newfoundland and Labradorians are famous for their kindness, for their generosity, for their welcoming attitude. All of us would not have been here if those values were not there.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank you for watching as well. It has been a great discussion. I hope you'll comment on our Facebook page. Thanks again.